it has to do it all. Like, the only thing is, this car has a lot of hype around it right now. Is the most special looking, like on the road. Most people see it and they see Mustang. Unapologetic about what it is. You know, the M4 wins, and I'd probably go. What's up, everybody? It's Stefan here from Mod to Fame, and we are back with another video. In today's video, man, we're gonna be discussing something that I've been debating in my head, and I just want to get it out on film so we could talk about it together. Because if I'm thinking about the best possible sports car that I could buy for $70,000, then you're probably thinking the same thing. So let's jump into it. Let's go. So in today's video, we are kicking it off here at the BMW dealership because we're gonna start out with 4 vehicles today that I've narrowed it down to. And the first one is a BMW. Let's go talk about it, come on. All right guys, so let's kick this thing off with the BMW M4 Competition X-Drive, non-convertible. Just so happens that's what's on the showroom floor. This car right here, this one happens to be a brand new one. We're going to be talking about probably a 2021, somewhere around there. For, on the used market, about $70,000 with somewhere close to 20,000 miles. So this right here car, you cannot deny that at that price is a phenomenal value at that price, considering the fact that you're going to have the interior of an M, right? So that means that you're not the basic 4 Series that you'd see driving run-of-the-mill 4 Series. You will get, you know, a slightly better interior with better seating and all that kind of stuff. You'll get the big screen. Well, sorry, not the 2021. You won't get the big screen. You'll get the older screen, but I don't think that really matters. But you will have upgrades of the BMW. But keep in mind that it is a 4 Series. It is not, you know, M8 or anything like that, but it is very close, still very, very nice. And of the cars that we're going to compare today, I'm going to go ahead and say that it is on par with, or maybe the best of the options that we have available. So the M4, in my opinion, if you have to have one car that does it all, one car that has to do everything for you, with the exception of maybe commute to work. Maybe you take the train to work or take the bus into the city, whatever the case may be for work. Or you have like a hoopty that you just drive to work, but you don't want to be seen anywhere else in it. This car can effectively do it all. It can be your daily driver. It can be your toy. It can be your back road cruise like terror. It can pretty much do it all. And with 503 horsepower, which is pretty underrated, I think these cars kind of dyno close to 500 wheel, and all-wheel drive, light to light, there is not going to be very much at all that can beat you on the street. Same thing goes when you start to modify the car. Once you start to modify the car, once you do the simple things like downpipe, maybe intake, heading toward the turbo, tune, basically unlocking the computer to be able to tune the car, and port injection or anything of those lines, adding that, you will have what could be a mid 9-second car with pretty much those things plus tire. That is a combination of about $16,000, $15,000 if you're having it installed by someone else, a professional shop, that this car will put you into the 9-second range of quarter mile. So that means that it can be your all-around car and do that everywhere, even on the street, like from light to light. So this is a weapon of a package, all in all. The only thing is, this car has a lot of hype around it right now. So because of all the hype, people don't realize that there are other cars that pretty much do the same thing when it comes to performance. Very little mods, make a lot of power, go very fast. It's just the other cars on this list that we're going to talk about that can do that, can only do that on a prep surface, whereas this car will be able to do that everywhere. And, you know, you have the name brand of BMW. Just to provide a little context, guys, this is a regular 4 Series. This is like a just basic, what you see on a daily purposes. But I'm sorry to inform you guys that if you have an M4, this is what people see, right? This is an M440. but look how like narrow and kind of weak it looks and stuff in stature. This is what people think you drive when you drive in regular people. They don't know the difference between this car. And even when you get to the interior, the screen is the same. The dash is overall the same. You know, obviously that M over there had some nicer seats or whatever the case may be. But in the case of specialness, now it is special to you and it is special to people who understand BMW and M. But to the masses of everything, there's nothing different than this car that says M and your car that's an M4 that says M, just to let you know. And for all you guys that think I might be a BMW hater because, you know, I'm a Mopar guy, which really, honestly, I own more German and European cars than any Mopars that I have, right? My driveway is full of German and European cars, but you guys call me a Mopar guy because I only post a Hellcat. This is one of my German and European cars, our BMW X7. It's our family car for the car seats and all that good stuff. So I know BMW very well. I like BMW. I own BMW. All right, boys, so next up, the next contender on the list is this right here, or either one of these. But this is the nicest spec one, Spider. This is a C8 Corvette. You would be looking at anything from a 2020 all the way up to probably a 2022 that is possible to get for $70,000. And this one happens to be Spider, which is what I would get, or convertible, whatever you want to call it. Exotic cars, they call them Spiders. Chevy, they gonna call it a convertible. But either way, the C8, to me, out of all the cars you're gonna see today, is the most special looking, like on the road. When you're buying a sports car, right, there's a couple things, boxes that you're gonna look to check. For me personally, those boxes include how does it present to the rest of the world? And the C8 Corvette to the rest of the world presents as that's a cool car. There's no base that looks like how we looked at the BMW and you saw that 4 Series, how it looked real basic and people could confuse your M4. That cannot happen with the C8. This is the base. This is the least model that you would possibly have, right? And in it used to be a case where you would say that the Chevy had a bad interior and all that kind of stuff. But once the C8 came out, all of that changed. I mean, come on. Alcantara all back here. These look like I'm not sure if these are the GT2 version seats, but carbon fiber in the seat. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. This is like really nice and presents very well. This you pull up in and people are like, hey, what does that guy do? You know? Does he own like some sort of a company? Or that's what happens when you have a car like this. And it has that reaction, like a visceral reaction from people from across the street, across the road. You don't have to get up close to it and see which model it is or trim it is to determine what it is. So from that aspect of it, to me, the C8 wins, right? Here's where the C8 loses for also me. When it comes down to performance, stock out of the box, great performance. Great performance, stock out of the box for a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8. You know, with a DCT transmission and all that kind of stuff. So cool in stock out of the box, good option. However, when it comes time to talk about adding power, because it is a naturally aspirated vehicle, it is very expensive to make an extra 200 horsepower. To make an extra 200 horsepower, at minimum, you're gonna spend $30,000 if you're taking it to a shop to do the work. Everything that I tell you guys today is gonna be based on you don't have the mechanical ability to do it yourself, but you're taking it somewhere. The reason why that is because you either need to add turbos or you need to add a supercharger, whether that be a centrifugal or roots blower. Either way, you're gonna need one of those. And even after you do that, the car is only gonna make 600 wheel horsepower. And it is not necessarily the lightest thing. These cars are, I think, somewhere around like 3,600 pounds. And at 3,600 pounds, 600 wheel is quick. But just think about what happens when you apply that, you know, that M4 that comes with, you know, probably more like 600 crank. But once you add your tune and your downpipes and your port injection and everything that we talked about for that, you know, $15,000, this car will be nowhere close to it. You're gonna spend that $30,000 and you're gonna go to a quarter mile and this car is going to just break into the 10s, and 60 to 130, it is gonna be somewhere in the 7s. Whereas that M4 is gonna be way above that. Not to mention the other cars we're gonna look at start at those performance numbers. They are mid 10-second cars out of the box. They are mid 7s to low second, 60 to 130 cars out of the box. If you're leaving the car stock, none of what I'm saying matters. But if you're gonna modify the car, this is not going to be the best option. One thing I did forget to mention, if you intend to have a car that can do back roads the best and the best handling and the best track times, road course track times, this is going to be the best option out of all of the cars. Yes, I know my German car lovers are going to be like, oh, but this car is faster around a track because, I mean, look at it. It's a mid-engine, rear-wheel drive setup. It's the fastest car around the track, and it weighs less than all of the cars that we're showing you guys. But if money is no object, you could always get a Z06. Woo. And the next car that we're going to talk about is not this. This is the 2024 Mustang GT. We are going to be talking about a 2020 through 2022 Shelby GT500. Reason why I'm showing you this is for just visual representation. But watch me in this B-roll as I drive and the things I say about Stang Mode 2020 GT500 at the time. Because after driving this car for a little while, I could honestly say this is really phenomenal. So the reason why the Shelby GT500 has to be on the list, guys, is because it is all around just a phenomenal package. A very unique power plant with the engine that it has along. So here's the problem with the GT500 though. Amazing power plant, yes, 760 horsepower from a supercharged V8 with a DCT transmission. The problem is that DCT transmission though, and the fact that if you're leaving the car stock, you'll never run into an issue. If you're doing slight bolt-ons, you'll never really run into an issue. But the minute that you start making real power, that transmission becomes a limiting factor. And what you should buy if you really want to go really fast in one of these cars and be able to be fast at a drag strip or roll race or anything else is you buy a GT and you twin turbo it. The other issue is Ford did not do the greatest job with marketing for the GT500, so therefore it is not iconic in anyone's mind except for the people who know what the car is. But if you don't know what a GT500 is, to you, that and this is the same thing. And that's the biggest problem about the GT500. Most people see it and they see Mustang. And when you see Mustang, Mustang is not aspirational. Mustang is not necessarily inspirational. It is super obtainable to the masses. So therefore, you don't get the special feeling of Mustang. It is the blue collar champion, which is great for $30,000, $40,000, and $50,000. But when you're talking about $70,000 used with just under 20,000 miles, you really gotta love what that car is to make that decision, and that purchase has to be 100% for you, because in most cases outside of a car meet, it's not necessarily gonna impress many other people as much. And then come on guys, you knew this was gonna be in my lineup. 100% you knew it was gonna be in my lineup, but this obviously is not what I'm talking about. This is not $70,000. This is Demon 170. For those that don't know, this is 1,000 horsepower from the factory. As long as it's on E85, 8-second from the factory car. This is not what I'm talking about. What I'm actually referring to for $70,000 that is possible to get though is a wide body Challenger Red Eye. Now the wide body's gonna have it in the front and the rear. The Demon 170 just has it in the rear. However, for about $70,000, just under 20,000 miles, you can get your hands on what is probably gonna be a 2020 Dodge Challenger Hellcat Red Eye wide body. And what that means is that you will have, out of this group of cars, the only muscle car in the lineup. The C8 is not a muscle car. A GT500 is not a muscle car. It's not intended to do that. This is a muscle car. And what does it mean to be a muscle car? It just means to be unapologetic about what it is. Yes, it's big. Yes, it's heavy. Yes, it's loud. Yes, it does burnouts. All the things that people say that is bad about the car is the identity of the car. But the biggest part of that identity is power. 797 of them. 797 horsepower when you're looking at a Hellcat Red Eye. What that means is this, out of the group, is a mid 10-second car. The red eye version. This right here, sorry, I told you the 8-second car. But the red eye version is a mid 10-second car from the factory. The only thing is, because it's a muscle car, it is pigeonholed to doing muscle car things. When it is on the street, it is a hoot. It is so much fun to drive. A lot of people complain that, oh, the interior is bad, this, that, and the third. You don't care. You do not care. And honestly, they refined a few things when it got to the red eye, like a leather wrap dash. You know, the console is better. The infotainment, they made some updates to. So as far as living with it, it's not bad at all. It's actually, you know, relatively for what it is, kind of a nice place to be. But it is also like sitting in your living room couch comfortable. Literally, like sitting in your living room couch comfortable. But when you put your foot into it, you realize you are not on a living room couch anymore. So therefore, the tires are going to light up. Sure. It's going to be all over the place. Sure. And you're going to love every minute of it. And guess what? If you decide you want to put the power down, you just change the tires. Literally, I've shown you guys in videos what is possible with the 20-inch wheel with a 20-inch Mickey Thompson ET Street SS. I've shown you what is possible. I've shown you I think I ran the best I've ever run was a 10.5.1 with one of these cars in that tire setup with 20-inch wheels. On the street, it is going to do way better. You'll be able to put the power down 100% from second gear with a stock setup, and you will destroy the M4. You will destroy the Corvette. The GT500 from a roll will probably eat you out. It'll probably beat you out from a roll. But in a drag strip, both cars launch, both the same driver. This car is going to be quicker to the ET at a drag strip. So therefore, man, it really just comes down to this car is a choice of, do I want brute force muscle car as my $70,000 option? So, you know, should it be in this lineup, being the fact that it is not a sports car? I don't know. All right. The problem, honestly, though, when it comes down to with these Mopars, the red eye, is these cars. And the reason why I say it's the problem is because you have lower trim models that are attainable, accessible, and give you about 70% of the perceived value as well as feeling of that red eye. So that red eye was $95,000 new, $92,000 new. This car, on the contrary, was half the price at $47,000 new. But it does burnouts. It gives you the sound, the muscle car feel. So everyone equates one of those cars to one of these cars. And unfortunately, what happens with that is they get a bad rap. You get a bad rap with having a Mopar. That being said, the other issue is the part interchangeability makes these things impossible to just drive and park anywhere. You buy that red eye, you are committing to not leaving your car anywhere outside by itself for any extended period of time, because there's a strong possibility that it will be gone. And you're not safe if you live in the suburbs. You're not safe if you live in a city. You're just not safe, right? So there's that aspect of it. Phenomenal. The red eye's a phenomenal package. Phenomenal vehicle. I mean, just the quintessential modern muscle thing that it is. Can you get past the stigma, and can you get past the fear of your car getting stolen? Those are the two biggest things that knock the red eye down on the list. But we're gonna go back to the studio, finish this up, guys. Actually, I might finish it up in the car with you guys now, because while it's top of mind, I want to go over a few things. There's a couple things that I forgot about the GT500, such as it is the fastest of the bunch of the 4 cars that we mentioned in a roll environment, meaning you're on a highway, you see the guy next to you, y'all 1, 2, 3, that GT500 is going to roll on all of these cars. The red eye being the second fast, the M4 being the third, and the Corvette being the slowest. In the drag race environment on a drag strip, red eye is the quickest, the GT500 being second, M4 and C8 depends on who gets the launch best, honestly. And on the street, the M4 by far is going to be the quickest. It's just you better hope that these cars don't hook up and come after you, because if they hook up and come after you, they're going to hawk you down. But anyway, let's finish this up in the car. All right, Steph, so if this is the case, then what are you choosing? Which car are you choosing out of the 4 that you just presented to us? And what actually gives you the ability to have a voice on something like this? Well, let's address the last question first, which is all the B-roll that you just watched in this video while I was talking, not of the cars in the showroom, but that's me driving each one of the cars that I'm talking about. Stangmo's 2020 GT500, my and Will Motivations Hellcat Red Eye, drag racing them both. I have experience with both. Me drag racing a GT500, actually driving it. Me driving the 2020, I think the car was a 2022 BMW M4 Competition X Drive on the drag strip and on the roadways. And also me driving, I didn't race one on the drag strip, but me experiencing and having a C8 for a couple days. So I have personal experience with all of these cars, spending time with them and knowing them. So based on the fact that you guys perceive me to be a Mopar channel, you think I'm gonna say that the Hellcat is the answer. The truth is, it depends. It depends on what you want the car for. That's what's gonna determine which car you get. I think I said it early in the video that if you want the car to do it all, it has to do it all. Like, it's gotta be your almost, it don't have to be your daily driver, but pretty much every week you're driving this car. Like, you're taking it out, you're going to dinner, you just don't want to drive your hoopty, or this is your only vehicle because you commute to work in another way, or maybe you have a company car or whatever, but you want a fun car. Like, if this is your only car and has to do everything, the cars that is out is the Corvette, right? That's not a do everything car. The other car that's out, honestly, is the Red Eye, mainly because you can't park it anywhere. Like, you can't park it anywhere for a long period of time. So as usable as it is the most spacious of the cars that we're talking about. It'll hold the most stuff. It is the most utilitarian. It is the most usable, but it's just not safe to leave without having to worry of it getting stolen. So the C8 and the Red Eye are out if you need it to be your everything kind of car. The next thing comes down to, if you need it to be your everything kind of car and you want to modify it and go faster, the question is, what type of racing do you like to do? Do you like to go to a drag strip? Do you like to just do highway roll-ons? Do you want to be able to do light to light? If you check the boxes for all of those, the M4 is your only option. If you check in the boxes for all of those, because the GT500 light to light, once you start making some real power and stuff, even stock, it just can't put it down. It's not going to put it down in the same way on, you know, light to light, even a slow roll. It's not going to put it down in the same way. So, you know, the M4 wins in that aspect, right? For me. Now, if you want the car that is going to feel the most rewarding to you and to others around you, the C8 is going to be it. It's going to feel the most special. It looks the most special. It presents the most special. And it's also the least usable, which again makes sense because it's targeting supercars as competitors. So whereas the other cars are targeting each other, the C8 is trying to target Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini. Like, it's giving you that experience, but for a fraction of the cost. So for the most, like, just, I guess, rewarding to you, right? And to those around you. Now, if you don't care and this is solely about you and you just in love with either of the cars, no matter what I say, you're gonna choose that car. So it might be the most rewarding to you for the GT500, right? But I'm just saying at mass scale. And if resale value is super important that we did not talk about yet, resale value, let's rank them in order of protecting your $70,000. The worst of the four for resale value is going to be the M4. German luxury cars depreciate terribly as they age, and the reason why is because no one wants to drive an old luxury car. That is a luxury car. It's a luxury sport car. It's of a luxury brand, right? So although it may not be a luxury car, it's from a luxury brand, and BMWs depreciate horribly versus something like the GT500, which is probably going to protect your investment the most. It's actually probably going to be a tie between the C8 and the GT500. Now, the C8 mileage is the killer. If you're gonna put a lot of miles or want to be able to put miles on the car, that one is gonna take a hit more so, but your investment is gonna be protected, like, strongly in either the C8 or the GT500. The Red Eye is a little bit unknown. The reason why it's unknown is because I believe that it still has a little bit more of a dip to go. However, 2015 Dodge Challenger Hellcats today with under 20,000 miles are in the 50s. So if we're starting out in the 70s with a car that is 5 years newer, where's it gonna go? It can't go down to the 50s with the 2015 narrow body, right? So that means that the Red Eye, you're safe. The most you're gonna probably lose is 10 grand. The GT500, if you put miles on it, I would say more or less the same. maybe a little less depreciation. The C8, if you put miles on it, where's it gonna go from 70? Like, all you gotta do is look at how long you're gonna keep the car. If you're gonna keep the car for 2 years, just if you're looking at a 2022, look at it and see what 2020s are going for, and that'll tell you where your car will be. That's easy, right? Whereas if you know, if you look at BMWs, don't look. It's those cars, I guarantee you, in another 2 years, those cars are gonna be in the 40s. It's just what it is. Like, that's just what it is. So there's a lot of aspects that you need to consider. And then the biggest aspect of, what are you buying a car to do? You want to buy a car to go fast and straight line and all that? If so, and it depends on where you're doing it. So let me talk about for me personally and where I am in my life today. Today, Steph turned 40 this year, right? And I think for me, if I had to choose, and let's say I didn't have my Hellcat, right? And I had to choose at this stage in my life right now, I'd probably go C8. And the reason why is because I want to feel the accomplishment of my hard work. And I also would like to be able to display the accomplishments of my hard work. And I feel like the C8 does that for me the most. I just have to retire from racing, because there's no way I'm gonna spend $30,000 to get to where the cars that we're comparing them to, GT500 and Hellcat Red Eye, to get to where those cars start, I gotta spend $30,000. So now I'm $100 grand, and I'm supercharged or turbo, but then I'm limited because I still got to do clutches. You know, I still got to figure out different aspects of maybe axles and all that kind of, I still got to do a lot to be able to compete with those cars as far as speed. So I got to retire from racing, but for me, I'm going with a drop top C8, baby. Anyway, it's your boy Stefan here from Mod to Fame, and if you like this video, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification so you don't miss no more videos going forward. In the next couple videos, we're going back to talking about the Red Eye. Sorry, I don't own a Red Eye. My twin turbo Hellcat, which, you know, you guys saw from the dyno video, 1300 horsepower twin turbo Hellcat to the wheels. Man, we got a lot to do with that car, but we'll get back to that. But if 70,000 sports car, I think those are the best 4 options available on the market today. We out.